Angels. We all have them. They're our unseen guides, our companions, our teachers, and they're all around us. Sometimes they make themselves known in the most miraculous ways. Join me, Level 3 QHHT practitioner, angel communicator, and Reiki master, Christy Clemens Hoffman, with stories from real people who have experienced uplifting phenomena and real-life angel encounters. How easy is it to communicate with loved ones who have passed? One mom says it's easy, simple, and natural. Learn more on this episode of Real Life Angel Encounters. Hello, so glad that you could join us today. Today, I am here with Jamie Lee Silver from Florida, also known as the Grief to Gratitude Guide, who is an expert in utilizing EFT, tapping, and energetics to bring peace of being, peace of heart, and peace of mind to people who are moving through grief. Her renowned Grief to Gratitude system has helped countless individuals transform their deepest sorrows into genuine gratitude. Now, Jamie's got a personal story behind this, which I think is very uplifting and helpful for so many of us. I'm so glad that you could join me today, Jamie. This is going to be a very interesting and heartwarming conversation.
Thanks for inviting me, Christy.
If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice I'm all bundled up. I've got my layers on, my turtlenecks and everything. And Jamie, you got it's 100 degrees here. How warm is it out in Florida?
Oh, it's sunny and beautiful, and the trees, and people are playing bocce ball and swimming outside my door.
Oh, wow. I'm so jealous. So jealous. So jealous. Okay. Well, now you do a lot of things to help grief stricken people, people who are moving through the loss of something. And I have to keep coming back to grief is not just losing a loved one,
Yeah.
which is what we usually think of, but there are so many ways that we can experience grief. Let's hear your story. How did you come to doing this type of work?
Well, and I love the insight that you just said,
Oh, yeah.
because I've had people come to me after divorce, after hurricane damage, after accidents, because all those things bring losses and then opportunities. But thanks for asking about my story. I love my story and I love my Ben. And I'm so appreciative to you, Christy, for asking me to share it. So my favorite thing in life was becoming a mommy. Really, I had a great career in sales, and I was always a poet and a writer and a singer and all these different things. But the minute that baby was put into my arms, it was just like nothing else really mattered. And I was lucky enough to have two little boys and just adored both of them and got to just spend time with them and love them and all those good things. And one of my sons is in Portland and he's doing wonderful and we're very, very close and I'm grateful for him. The other one, they were both runners. They both loved track and cross country. And in Downers Grove, Illinois, there was the best team in the world, run by the best coach in the world with the best families. And it was all so fun and exhilarating and scary at times. And Ben wanted to be he wanted to go all the way. He was my second son. Shorter guy, humorous, singer, songwriter, poet. He wanted a full scholarship to college. So he got that full scholarship to college.
Wow.
But we'll never figure this out, but he couldn't run. Something was up with an ankle. No doctor could get to the bottom of. And so I watched him devolve in front of my eyes, eventually getting diagnosed with schizophrenia and eventually finding his own escape in transitioning out of this physical world and into the next. And the beautiful, eternal love that we experienced in this lifetime, probably many previous lifetimes as well, did not end. when he died. Although I have to say, I was on the floor and waking up into that terminal no, and in the deepest agony, that it was unfathomable. And there was nothing I could do to make it any different. So, as a person who has always sought for spiritual solutions and teachers to help me along, I had, before Ben got sick, discovered EFT tapping, emotional freedom techniques, and realized that my emotions lived in my body. And after Ben became my angel, I began using them extensionally all the time. And I have some other cool tools that I'll tell you about, but I want to send it back to you, Christy, for any comments or.
Yeah, I can't imagine the grief that a mother would go through. I've got one child and she's my entire world. And you know how it is. I can't even imagine. But
Yeah.
you had such a bond.
We had such a bond. We have.
Yeah, you have such a bond.
And that's why I appear on podcasts. That's why I do what I do. Years before years before that all happened, I had been a reader and a listener of Doreen Virtue, and she talked about using writing to communicate with archangels, with your deceased loved ones. And so after Ben died, I sat down with my pen and paper, and this was like 2 weeks later. We had to plan all of the stuff, and there's the hubbub and the whatchamacallit and everything. And in my case, being interviewed by the press all the time because Benjamin Lee Silver was he was a dramatic boy, and he did, so that was a part of what happened. But I sat down and I started writing to him. Let's see if I can show this to you. That's Ben.
Forever Ben. Yes.
Yes. And the book is called Our Forever Ben. And I just sat down and started writing to him. And through my pen, we began a lifelong correspondence. And I published the first book of this series called Our Forever Ben. And if you'd like, I can share the first passage and maybe some more, but this first passage when I knew we were connecting. So cool.
I would love that.
Thank you. So the minute he passed away, I could feel his energy. I could feel that he was not in mental anguish. And in his story, he got schizophrenia and he was being chased by something that he had to escape from. And he chose the only method of escape that he knew how. But I could feel his release the minute that he did it. So I wrote, "Dear Ben, soaring above us all, free and flying." I could feel him in the birds. I could see him. You got your way. You ended your torturous road. You are released. And now you will have all of us chanting for you as your mission continues right here, right now, forever. I will cry until I run out of tears. I cry in gratitude that you came to me, that we shared these 22 years, had all those laughs and all those tears and all those laughs. My heart will always be full of my Ben, my Benjamino, my Benja bunny, my Benja boy. Oh, Ben, right through me. Laugh through me. Live your happiness all around me. My dear boy, I know you never meant to hurt me, not ever. Ben, maybe you're sitting right next to me on this Friday, right here by the pool. What do you have to say? And what I did was I kept my pen, Christy and listeners, and I'm not special. Everyone can do this. I just did it. That's what made me special, is that I did it, and you can do it too. So I kept my pen on the paper and I heard Ben's voice as I continue to hear it anytime I write to him. And it will be 10 years this summer. And he wrote, Mom, or I heard him say, and I wrote, Mom, I did it. I meant to do it at the time. And I knew it would make you sad. But somehow I still had to do it. I had to obey my mind, my legs, my feet, my incredible surge of strength and courage. I could not say no. It had to happen. And this story is not yet written, is not yet told, but will be. My life and death have meaning, not had. Dearest Mom, my closest friend, my absolute love, don't despair. I know you will create a life of meaning, of love, of warmth and creativity. Together, we will live on. Together, we will always live on. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy this day. Enjoy your life. Your forever, Ben.
Goodness, how did that feel to receive that message?
I knew he hadn't gone anywhere. This deep, deep love, it doesn't evaporate when the physical is no longer there.
No, and they truly are with us. They never really leave. My dear friend, Caitlin, she passed after her fourth battle with cancer.
What a fighter. What a trooper, huh?
What an amazing woman she was. Young, 44, I think. And she was living in Scotland at the end. She was teaching at the University of Aberdeen. And I knew she'd been ill. I knew it was close. I knew her father had come from the United States to be with her. And I was just waiting for news. And I was at the garden store. And she came to me and she said, well, I haven't gone anywhere. I just broke up with my body. And once I realized I could, it was ridiculously easy to do so.
I love it.
To be the perfect way to describe it. I just broke up with my body.
Love it. I'm gonna keep that. Thanks for that gift.
And when my father passed, he was in Idaho. I was here in Kansas City. It was a sudden illness and passed very, very quickly. And after he passed, he showed me being inside of this big clear plastic sack, almost like a balloon. And he was going like this and trying to get out of it. And then he said, I finally just busted free. So, I mean, it really is, right? Wow. I think it really is that simple. Shannon, who's in a photograph over my head here, metaphysician, very well known from Arkansas. I practiced the work that she started. And she said it's like going from one room to the next. You just open the door and go through, but you haven't gone anywhere. It's just gone anywhere.
Exactly. And yes, there are still times that I have grief bursts because, like, how could I not? But for the most part, it's like, just like the E. E. Cummings poem, I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
Yeah. Oh, I love that poem. It's one of my favorites. I love that you quoted that.
Yeah.
They're with you always. They're and really just a thought away.
We've watched sunsets together. We look at the birds together. You know, we enjoy like some of the same jokes and things that are funny. I'll be like, how'd you like that?
Oh, that's sweet. Oh yeah, I share jokes with my dad too. It's like, what do you think of that?
See?
Yep, they're with us. You know, and I had a client one time because I'm also an intuitive. I'm a medium, and I had a client years ago. She was missing her mother dreadfully. Her mother had passed from cancer, and her mother came in. She said, "You know, this is great. This is wonderful because I can be with everybody I love at once." She had family in Mexico where she lived, in Kansas City where my client is, in Washington D.C., in Portland, Oregon. She said, "I can be with everybody I love everywhere at once."
Yeah.
A great deal. And she truly was with them all. So, I mean, our loved ones just never do leave us. And what an amazingly beautiful story. Now, you've had this correspondence with Ben, this correspondence where you've actually penned some poems as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Any favorites that you'd like to share?
Oh, sure. The first year, especially,
Oh,
he was telling me what it's like to
oh,
be where he is. And there are some things that he shared that are just amazing. Of course, he shared it's not over. Our love goes on. Nothing can keep us apart. Not time, not space, not death, not even death. Even when it looks like I'm gone, I'm not. I'm right here beside you, smiling at you with my arm around you. This lifetime, I got so sick, but the next one, watch out. We'll be born together and all that negative karma will be gone and we will share, share, share and bask, bask, bask in the light of our love. But I don't need to wait till then because he's right here, right now. Let me see some other things. Oh, so one of the first things he told me, and this was when I was really sad, I had moments where I just reached out to him in tears and just like, oh my God, I can't believe I can't like physically hug you, right? And he said, and I find this is really interesting. And in working with my clients, with their sadness and helping to release it from their bodies and also to be with it and accept it, because once we accept an emotion, it can flow through us. And so he said, please stop being so sad. You don't have to prove your love to me by being sad. I know you love me. Please cheer up. I'm really happy. I'm running with Aaron, happy with Michelle. I can be in all these places at the same time.
Goodness. Word for word what this client had said. That is wow. So he's talking about being with all of his loved ones at the same time.
I have for many years believed in the oneness of time and space, like it's the nowness of this moment and our ability to access past, present, and future from this point right now. But when he told me that he could actually almost had it pictured like a rod that's running through us that we both share, where he can be with me and he can be reborn anywhere throughout the universe, all at the same time, our beings are so expansive.
So expansive. We truly are limitless. We are boundless. Now, has he spoken to you about what created his illness or why he had that illness?
Well, we know what created his illness. And well, first of all, late onset schizophrenia is a thing. I hate to say.
It is. Yeah.
It's a thing. And I know that he was self-soothing himself in any way that he could.
Understandable.
He was away at school. He was with this team. He had to go to all their practices. He had to do everything with them. He just couldn't prove himself. And running had become, I mean, it was way more than his thing. It was who he was. He was a record breaker. And he was also the shortest boy on campus, which is really important. It really matters. And so he reached out, he ordered things on the internet, he took different drugs. Did this create the illness, or did the disappointment and heartbreak of not being able to perform, was that it? We don't really know. I just know that those 2.5 years when he was sick with this illness were the worst years of my life.
Because there was nothing you could do.
They were even worse than after he became my angel. Every day, every moment, in my heart and through my actions, I was fighting to save him.
Of course. And I know that sometimes we will make a choice from the other side before we're even born to go through something difficult like this for our own benefit, for the benefit of those around us, for karma, many different reasons.
Yeah, he's told me this.
What has he shared about
He
this?
said we had a bond, that our agreement was 22 years.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Your agreement was. Wow. And did he talk about like any karma having to do with his illness or any agreements that you had made?
Well, see, we were Buddhists and chanted Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We were just, I had chanted for 40, I've chanted for a long, long, long time. The view of karma in terms of this is expiating karma, of course. However, I'm not sure where to, but yes, it was a pact. And I couldn't help the widow that now is thriving in her life with her husband. And this is one of my clients. She doesn't write to her husband and have him write her, but in her new life now, without him, she's incorporated her love for him in the changes that she's making. And she's just blossoming in ways that are so beautiful through my EFT practice
Yes.
with her and my grief companioning. And I probably wouldn't have done this work if I hadn't realized that after Ben died, there was this huge hole, like this gaping hole in front of me. And I saw, and I was on enough boards and things to know that there were so many people who just went down those holes. And they were putting their hands up. And I always viewed my practice and the work that I do as my putting my hand down and saying, I've been there. I know what you're going through. Here, take my hand and let me help you have hope and life. And the thing about grief, Christy, which you probably know, is that if you're so dark, like as a mom, and in that hole, and say you have other children or friends and family, sometimes it's really hard to get out of that hole. So you can be there for them too. So it doesn't just bring you down. And I'm not blaming anybody.
No,
I'm
no.
just saying that there is hope.
And you make an excellent point there. The rest of your family is grieving too. And you're all in this together, but somehow it does come down to the mom to keep it all together.
That's right.
It honestly does. But we also, as mothers, we take that on. We take that role on ourselves
Yeah.
gladly, joyfully,
Yeah.
the anchor to be the leaning post.
Yes.
And it's so hard when you're in the depths of grief yourself. And grief is something that you said before, it just kind of comes in waves. You never know when the next wave is going to hit. And it can be
Yeah.
the craziest thing. It doesn't matter how long, how much
Yeah.
time has passed. When that
Yeah.
grief wave hits, it hits.
Yeah. I just had one last week. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow. Yeah.
That's okay.
And that's okay.
Feel what you're feeling.
Yep.
It's when
And
we try to
that's
suppress
okay.
that emotion.
Yeah.
We do store our emotions in our body. When we try to suppress that emotion and deny it and not express it, then
Yeah.
that's have physical problems.
I use the analogy of a balloon. And if
Mm,
you try to like push it down underwater, it might stay under there for a while, but it's going to pop back up. I know you use a modality, and my modality is tapping. And even though I feel this emotion in my body, I accept that I feel it. It's like to many people still, and whoa, how can I accept my emotion? And we live in an emotion phobic, grief avoidant
we do.
world. And I studied with the Center for Life and Loss Transitions in Colorado. And that's where I learned to be a grief companion as well, which, as some of us know, is just listening, just being there and letting a person express. It's a beautiful thing. Most of the people who really comforted me when it first happened, they didn't have to say anything at all. I'm like, what can you say?
I went through a grief class after my father died. It was just a grief support. I don't remember. Oh, grief shares, what it was called. It's kind of a national thing that people do. And, something that came out of that is that folks who you think that you can count on for support, they don't know what to say. And sometimes we have to tell them what we need.
Oh, you're so right.
We do. I remember my two very best friends. It's like all I wanted was for them to check in with me every day and just say, "How are you doing?" And I had to tell them that because I didn't hear from them for days. And I said, "I'd really love to have you check in with me." And they said, "Well, we're just giving you space." It's not what I needed though. So sometimes we need to say
No,
what we need.
people don't know what to do.
No, they don't. They honestly don't know what to do. So
I made a pact with myself when it happened. The first thing I did was say it was schizophrenia and suicide. But sometimes people prefer not to say. Well, in my world, I wanted to say because I want to help normalize the
yeah,
fact that there's nothing to be ashamed of.
nothing. No. People get cancer, people get diabetes, people get schizophrenia. These
Yeah.
are conditions that our body can go through, and we need to normalize it. No, you're absolutely right.
The brain is an organ of the body.
Right. Right.
And there's no one to blame. So one of the other things I did, Christy, which is super cool, people came to me, Ben's best friends came to me and
Mm.
said, we have to do something and we have to make it lasting. So really because of them, and yes, I've participated and been part of it, but I really owe it to his friends. We formed Ben's Memorial Mile and bensmemorialmile.com. You can go to that. We have had, this year will be our 10th Ben's Memorial Mile in Downers Grove, Illinois. It's now a road race, and people get together from all over, run, walk, skip, whatever they want to do for 1 mile. And there's live music and fun. And we do it in this spirit of, I call it Benergy, because Ben was such a loving and fun spirit. It'll be August 9th this year in Downers Grove, Illinois, and it's just a joy.
That is so exciting.
We raised over $200,000, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, for schizophrenia research, brain research, and for the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
I love it. Oh, that is fabulous. I mean, and that's really how we can make an impact in the world, how we can take this tragedy and turn it into something that's positive and helpful for people.
Yeah. I don't want everybody to feel like that you have to do this, because honestly, like I said, I did not do this myself. It was and is a dedicated group of people that do this.
That is absolutely right. We never operate in a vacuum. And speaking of which, the family,
Yeah.
how have they adjusted to hearing from Ben? Do they believe in this? Does it help them?
Well, it's interesting because my husband, we divorced right before, and I coined that phrase because we're still friends. We work together on Ben's Memorial Mile, etc. And he never had an interest in doing it. But for those first few years, every Father's Day, on anniversaries, Ben's birthday, etc., I would ask Ben what he had to say to his father and write it down for him and give him the note.
Oh, wow. How did he receive that?
He always said thank you.
Doing what I do and living in a normal American family, not everybody believes in it. Not everybody buys into it. Not everybody is accepting of it. And that can be a little challenging. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It can be a little challenging,
Yeah.
but do it anyway.
Yeah, living in the heartland of America. You're right there, aren't you?
People on the Bible Belt.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, has Ben reached out to anyone else, like his brother or his friends?
Ben's brother writes to him every day, but I just don't think that he feels the need to have him write back to him. He talks to him in his own ways and he hears from him in his own ways. Writing is a particular love of mine. But one of the things I want to say for audiences, for your audiences, is I'm not against going to a medium, but you really can be your own medium.
Of course. Yes. And this is something that I teach to
Oh,
students.
good.
Yes. Is how to connect with our loved ones in spirit. It's important.
Good.
Y'all can.
Everyone can do it.
I
If
do
you want,
want to.
you want to. And where the tapping comes in is that sometimes people have anger, or they might have, I had a huge case of the what ifs and if I onlys and I wish I could have's. And like I could go back from when he was in the womb and be like, if only I'd done this and done that and then this and that, especially because it's suicide and it really blame yourself. But tapping really helps you process through those emotions and release those emotions.
Well, that reminds me of a new question. Is that, did you have those skills before he passed?
I had started with those skills and then I stayed in Chicago for a year and public speaking. I have had a great career in senior living. And I came down to the beach Ben and I began writing back and forth, and then I decided to become clinically certified in emotional freedom techniques. And I found the most precise method of teaching with the EFT Tapping Training Institute and became certified and have been in practice through Zoom all over the world ever since then.
That is wonderful. Had you known about it before?
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little, but you knew that that was the route you wanted to go.
Well, the minute I tapped, the first time I tapped, everyone, self-love is so important. Self-love is the most important thing. Self-love is important. And you go, and you're like, yeah, I really want to love myself. Like, how do I do that? It's such a great idea. And the first time I started tapping and it said, you say to yourself, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, I began to cry. And when I did that, I thought maybe tapping can actually be one of the connectors to me and this experience of the deep love that I really want to feel. And I do believe that that is what it is. And that's what's possible with tapping.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Something else I wanted to ask you is, did you have any special process to connect with Ben? For me, when I connect with loved ones or angels or whoever, animals or the client, I have this whole protocol that I do. Did you have anything special that you do or that you did to connect with Ben?
I just wrote him.
Good. Yeah.
I just poured my heart out to him. And I've given workshops in doing this as well that involve tapping, that involve writing to them and asking specific questions like, here's what I miss about you. It's beautiful.
Yeah. However that looks, I think it's just the
Mhm.
intention that we put into it.
Absolutely.
And I open my heart chakra and I connect to the earth, I connect to the universe, and I open up all my chakras and just open to receive. But we really don't have to do all of that. I just do.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's just in a journal passage,
Yeah,
like, hey, Ben, what do you have to say?
that is so true. What do you have to say? When you're close like that, you're the mother.
He knows my heart. He knows what's troubling me or what's going on.
So, if anybody is in grief right now, they're missing someone, and they would like to do this, they would like to connect with their loved ones in spirit. What would you recommend that they do?
They can always reach out to me. They could always reach out to you if they wanted some extra support. But I think the first step is just believing it's possible and that it's okay and that they love you and you love them and that love can't go anywhere. I think that's really the first step.
Your story reminds me so much of a couple of others. Messages from Matthew, Susie Ward. Do you know about that?
No, but I know Suzanne Giesman.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, Suzanne Ward had the same type of situation. Her son Matthew passed. I don't remember what happened. I think it may have been an accident or an illness, but she started writing just beautiful messages from him not too long after that and publishing books. And then also The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, if you're familiar with that.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, I am.
story has been told in many ways, and maybe one of these days everyone's going to believe that this is possible.
Yeah, yeah, we're the forerunners, but there are so many people awakening. Imagine if this entire planet lived without that fear and sadness, or were able to channel it in ways other than addiction or some of the other ways that people use to cope that aren't great.
Now, you've actually found your way to joy and spread happiness.
Yes.
How did you approach that?
How do I approach it? Well, gratitude. Every day I make my gratitude list. And there's a saying, check this out. I love this. I have many Jewish friends, and they say, may his memory be for a blessing. And I thought, isn't that a beautiful thing? And then I meditated on what the true meaning, what does that really mean on the inside of my life and in my body? To have someone's memory be for a blessing. And that meditation really brought me to, when I think of Ben, how much I smile all the time. I'm like, yes, memory is for a blessing.
Absolutely, his memory is for a blessing, and you've created the run every day,
Yeah.
raise money. This is the biggest blessing. You share this message of joy and hope and connection with our loved ones. That's a blessing.
That's what I'm here for. And that is a mission given to me by Ben.
That is wonderful. So how did he line out this mission for you? How did he lay it out for you?
Oh, he died.
Well, well, yes, of course. But then he come up and say, "Mom, we need to do this."
No, he let it grow organically within me as I just followed my heart.
If he would have come and said, "Hey, my death might have a meaning and we can do something," you might not have accepted that right away.
Who knows about that, right?
What's that?
Yeah, you're so right. What if he had come to me and said, Mom, XYZ, and given me a list?
Right. You might have said, "Oh, that's doesn't sound like something I would do."
And
Right?
I might not have felt ready by
Yeah.
where it coming more organically, getting mastery in EFT. I mean, oh goodness. Check this out. This is a wonderful story. There was a man who came to me when who had lost both of his children.
Oh,
And emotional freedom techniques is about feeling the emotion in the body, tapping into it, experiencing it, and then letting it release through the process of EFT. This gentleman came to me. He was emotionally spent. There was no question like, how are you feeling right now? I could see it in his face. Going through the emotions wasn't going to help him. I asked him how his heart felt. We started with the heaviness and the color of his heart.
hmm.
And as we tapped, even though my heart is yellow and spiky right now, it's okay. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And as we kept tapping through the colors his heart was going through, he closed his eyes and he was silent. And I left him in the silence for a moment, as long as it needed. And then when he came out, he said, This is the first time I've had my children with me. He experienced them for the first time. And ever since then, he has the awareness of the ongoing love. He credits that as a new birthday, that moment.
So beautiful. That's amazing.
It's beautiful work we do, isn't it, Christy?
I love it, Jamie. I really do. I see not as many as you do, but I still see people for grief. And we use Reiki and we use some clearing techniques and we use some mediumship just to help them connect with their loved ones. And I teach them how. But I always say I don't want to take anybody's grief for them. I don't want to remove all of their grief because they still need that to work with in some ways. It's just that we need to feel our feelings, and I don't want to take their feelings from them.
I totally agree.
Just help them make it manageable.
And those feelings, I think that EFT is about the transformation of those feelings, taking those feelings, feeling them, and transforming them for your own life.
Oh, I love that, Jamie. That's amazing. Now, you've got this website that outlines everything that you do, all of your writings and all of your services and things, tapforhappiness.com, which is very, very complete. Tapforhappiness.com. You've got your media and podcast links here, which you'll be updating that soon when these,
Yes, I will.
right? You got your testimonials, your services, and of course, one of your services is the afterlife correspondence coach.
Yes.
Love that. Right?
Hmm.
Helping people and retreats. A grief
Yes.
retreat, a healing grief retreat. That sounds amazing. How many of these do you do a year?
I do several. I'll be doing one in October this year, either in Portland or in Sedona.
Ah, I love it. Oh, what a wonderful thing that you can do for people. And we're just healing that grief, getting a change of pace away from where you might be experiencing the most of this grief and reminders and everything else, going someplace else and just taking the time for yourself. That's beautiful.
For you, loving yourself.
Oh, I love it. And where can we get your books?
My book, Our Forever Ben, is on Amazon.
Yeah.
And if you write to me at tapforhappiness@gmail.com, I will send you out something I do every morning. It's a tapping that I call Win in the Morning and Win in Life. It's a way to enter each day just clear as a bell and with great happiness. And also, I offer to anyone who's listening 30 minutes with me just to explore what EFT is, so you can learn a little bit more about it and just see if you're looking for somebody to work with on some subject, just grief or anything else. You get a chance to get to know me and see if I'm the person who can get you through the next hump.
And so they would take advantage of that by going to your website and giving you a call, shooting you a text?
Exactly. You can shoot me a text at 630-926-3001. I personally love the telephone. And if you shoot me a text first, we can connect up by phone.
Oh, that is wonderful. People don't really do phone much these days, but it's such a personal touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important for our audience to know?
Just know that you are loved and that you are love.
I love that.
And shine your light. We need it more now than ever before.
Absolutely. Even after loss, it's especially important.
Especially. And ask for what you need. So smart of you, Christy.
That was all the grief share class. I tell you what, but we do have to ask sometimes. People can't read our minds. They don't know what we really need.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me with this message of love and hope and knowing that our loved ones are always around. They're just a thought away. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow and be sure to share this episode. The more people who know about this podcast, the more great story submissions we get. Have a story to share? Email your own real-life angel encounter to angelencounterspodcast@gmail.com or visit radiatewellnesscommunity.com/real-life angel encounters podcast. Or join our Facebook group and continue the discussion. Want to know what your angels and loved ones have to tell you? Schedule an appointment with me at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. A special thanks to James Wheeler for the original music and to Tiffany Baumgarten for the logo design.